One.
Hello,
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ladies Cave
No, the woman's
Cave.
the ladies
Woman's Cave Ladies Tale podcast. Dang it. I raced and I still got it so wrong.
She's just mixing up stuff. It's because y'all, before she got on, she was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have this pina colada, like, which is not cool. I mean, I don't know because it is 3:00 here, so technically, it's happy hour. Technically,
It's the beginning of happy hour.
it's the beginning of happy hour. I go by the restaurant time, so sometimes it's 2:00 because sometimes they have.
Yeah, they start
I'm Jade, though.
2 to 5. Oh yes, I'm Winona.
So it's happy hour from 2 to 5 around here, y'all. Every
2
day.
to 7. Shoot it. I mean, it's COVID. We might as well make it a little longer from 2 to 7. You can only
not every day.
No,
not every day, y'all. Not
every day is 4 to 5, but on occasional it's 2 to 7.
That doesn't make it better. I think that makes it worse. We're
gonna be like our co-hosts
anyway
and drink lemonade. By the way, we have books,
right? Which we like to call literary life guides with pop poetry, because doesn't that just sound better than like a book full of poetry? Like, no. Literary life guides with pop poetry. All right. And I thought the voice was bad. Top 4, y'all, because it's like 20 of them. And I thought the voice was bad with other life lessons. And I thought being grown up was easy. And if only I were me. Well, no, what are you doing today? Like, you're destroying my set. You're knocking my. Like, what are we doing?
No one noticed.
No one.
I noticed.
Yes, I know she noticed because her eyebrow went way up.
Okay, we're moving on because I don't like to dwell on.
Anyway, yeah, you can find out everything your ladies are doing on www.amythought.com. And the other 2 books that I'm not going to name today because Winona's just messing up.
Oh, really?
But she looks cute today, so she's making up for it with that.
So there you go. Okay, so since our co-host is speaking, co-host, would you like to introduce?
My name is Tanya Todd. I'm an author and actress from Las Vegas.
Fabulous. All right, so y'all are here to hear us.
You want to hear from our wonderful guest. I think I can get this one right.
Okay.
Wonderful guest, would you like to introduce yourself? I need to put more
high five.
Dear, my phone is ringing. Bad. This is casual, right? I was told it would be casual.
Oh, it's absolutely casual. I mean, she's drinking rum-filled. I think it's not a pina colada. I think it's rum with pina colada in it. So that's what she's drinking.
Oh, that's delicious. Unfortunately, I'm in California. Hey, my name is Laurie McLean, and I'm a literary agent, founder of Fuse Literary with my partner, Gordon Warnock. And I'm also the director of the San Fransico Writers Conference. So firmly in the world of books. And I'm drinking iced tea. So I'm in San Francisco. It's only noon. So I don't fit into your 2 to 7 p.m. happy hour.
It's not. Are you sure it's not of the Long Island variety? Yeah,
I'm positive. Although, depending on how long this interview lasts, I might go downstairs and pour something into it.
We'll take a moment. Go ahead. No, I'm joking.
Tanya, can you cover for me while I?
Yeah, no problem. I can talk books.
So how did you find your love of books, and then why an agent?
Yeah, it's so weird because very few people outside of publishing even know what a literary agent does. If I go to a party or, I'd be with a family reunion or something and they say, oh, what are you doing these days? And I go, well, I'm a literary agent now. And it's like blank face. Oh, that's nice. They have no idea what it is, but they're afraid to ask. But, like most people in publishing, love of reading, read books all my life, did a stint in marketing and public relations in the high tech industry for 20 plus years, have my own company doing, my own agency doing that. But that really just rips all the energy out of your body over time. 20 years of that, I was like, I am not that old, but I feel very old. So just decided to go into something else. And I was just sitting around in my pajamas going, what do I love to do? And I've always wanted to write a novel. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take a year and I'm just going to write a novel. So every day, I mean, you guys, this is like freaking paradise, right? Every day I'd get up, go into my computer, turn it on with my Earl Grey tea, and start writing, or start editing or whatever. And I took a whole year and I did this romance novel for my mom for her 80th birthday and put it, 3-hole punched 8.5 by 11-inch paper, put it in a 3-ring binder, took her out to brunch, gave it to her, and I thought, this is either going to go one of two ways. Either she's going to not know what it is and go like, oh, what is this? You're giving me a report, or she was going to love it. And of course, she's my mom. She loved it. And she told me, you need to get this published. And that was really the first time I thought about that, because I just wanted to, this is way before self-publishing was even a thought in anyone's head. And so I kind of got into publishing the back way, because I went to the San Francisco Writers Conference. It was like 2 weeks from then. So I'm like, oh, I'll sign up and go. So I went, and then they have this thing where you pitch agents. So I went and did that, and I got an agent that way. And as I was, I'm like AAA personality. I just sold my multi-million-dollar business. So I'm like, I'm going to have to go and figure out what these guys are actually doing, because I didn't know what a literary agent was either, but I knew I needed one. And so I told them, because they were also agents and they were the former directors of the San Francisco Writers Conference, that I said, well, I'll do a writing contest for you as a project and for free. And they were like, oh, okay. So then of course I had to go to their office once a month, and then I'd say, oh, well, how's the sale of my book coming along? Bugging them. And eventually they never sold that book. That romance novel never saw the light of day. And you know what, guys, your first novel, sometimes they're pretty bad and you just don't know it. You think I finished a book. This is amazing. And all of your friends and family are like, wow, you finished a book. I've always wanted to write a book. So you feel really puffed up and great about yourself. And then by your second or third book that you've written, you look back at your first one and go, oh my God, that was horrible. So thank God it never got published, but I became an agent. So it took me like 2 months of working on the writing contest, and then they took me to lunch, and I said, I was an agent before in publicity. I think I could be a literary agent. I know how to do contracts. I knew time management. I know how to deal with people and corporations and how to sell, but I don't know any editors in New York. And they're like the Don and the Doness, or whatever the word is. You're like, oh, we'll take you to New York. They were really old. They're in their 70s. We'll take you to New York. We'll introduce you to all the people. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that's how I became an agent. Totally weird, series of events that I could not have foreseen. And I love it. I love doing it because it satisfies the creative part of my brain. Dealing with all of these authors, I love it. And then the, shark, I used to say art of the deal, but now I can't say that phrase anymore without, pardon me. But then, so that analytical side of my brain, the deal making side, the negotiating side, the, figuring out how, strategy or how to build somebody's career, all of that stuff I really love too. So I could do both of those things as an agent. And then, because this agency that I was working for were the ones who started the San Francisco Writers Conference, when they finally retired, they asked me if I would do it. And that's kind of how that happened. So now I've got 2 full-time jobs, and that's why my hair is like, oh.
So
it's a lot of work.
COVID though. So right. Nobody would think
like that.
Oh, it's because of her full-time job. We would be like, because it's like, everyone okay. No one's gotten the haircut. Like all the fun things that we haven't done.
What is it that you do for the San Francisco Writers Conference? What are your responsibilities there?
Okay, so as the director, because I did it kind of piecemeal, Tanya, it was like, first I did the writing contest. Then they said, well, you're an agent. Why don't you be in charge of agent liaison? So then I started doing that. And then they said, well, you are kind of, you're good at contracts and stuff. Why don't you rewrite our contract? So it's like I backed up into all these jobs, but then there were still a whole bunch of jobs that I never touched, like speed dating for agents. Yeah, I would do that as an agent. So as director, I knew how to do that. But there were some other things like getting keynote speakers. I don't have any ins with super high level best-selling authors. And to tell you the truth, my area of expertise is genre fiction, romance, science fiction, fantasy, mysteries, thrillers, Westerns. I don't even read literature or poetry or anything like that. So I was like, oh my God, how do I find who is the top poet? Is there a top poet in the United States? Should I know who this person is? You know, the big, huge holes in my knowledge base. So the first thing I had to do was study like every part of this whole conference. Then the other thing that happened was after 15 years in the same hotel, the year before they had moved to a different hotel. So I had to plan for shoehorning this conference into a totally different format. But it was kind of cool. Just like that, we do another thing called Writing for Change. It's another conference. It was a one-day thing. It was local. It was really small. Well, this year we had to do virtual. So I had to redo all of that too. So I kept saying to everybody, oh, I love using the strategic part of my brain. And this time I was like, the universe went, well, here, have some more and some more. And
Right,
some more.
since you're so good at it.
Yeah, exactly. How are you feeling now? Confident yet? You know, so.
However, you
So
were
as
prepared,
director,
weren't you?
Yeah, I was kind of prepared, but you know, the other thing I always like to say is I'm a lifelong learner. I love to learn. So again, the universe is like, yeah, learn all this stuff on the fly. So, so as director, I oversee everything. And luckily what I did when I joined, when I became director, they had 4 people and that was it, running this huge conference. It lasts for 4 days over President's Day weekend. It's always listed as one of the top 3 writers conferences in the United States. Over 1,000 people, all these moving parts. Hell, we have even 80 volunteers, you know, because it's just so many things going on, 7 simultaneous sessions and all kinds of things at night and keynote speeches every day and parties, and I won't bore you with more. We can't have it in February. I'm like half relieved and half bummed out. But so
it's not boring to me because I'm one of the people who is handling the Las Vegas Writers Conference. So I'm here just
I've heard
ready to hear
really
everything that you're doing.
I have heard really good things about your conference. And in fact, one of the Fuse agents goes there all the time, Carly Weber.
Yes, I met her there, and Trisha Skinner, I'm a huge fan of hers, and she is going to speak to our group in February.
Fantastic. Oh, she's delightful. She's going to have everybody in stitches. I was really hoping that she would come on this show either with me or instead of me or after me or something, but hopefully she will. What happened with her is she's got a 10-year-old and she's in Dallas and they just threw home learning at her. And she's like, how can I have a full-time job and also teach my kid? So she's got to be like next to him. It was like little things like, oh, I didn't know that he was only doing the first page of homework. He had no idea that you had to keep turning the pages.
That's what happens when you raise a dark side child.
Yes. And then she's like, your child is failing. And she's like, what? So then she had to go in and make her.
I think in 2020 that we've all had to learn how to pivot and do things like we've never done before. And
you guys have kids too?
No, I don't have children, but I mean, I in my past career, I was a sign language interpreter, and I did interpret for the school system at multiple systems, and so I got to see children and teachers and be in those things where you hear what's going on in the background, and I'm like, I don't think parents know, and now they know.
Yeah,
now they know. But then it makes like, thank you to teachers because y'all were doing this, and I have one. And I don't know. People are like, I have one, and I don't know how you do it. So it's been a very interesting year. I think it's been a year that has taught a lot of people a lot of things, like a lot of skill sets and things, and hopefully that makes people more appreciative going forward about like
no kidding.
People that
Both my parents were teachers, and they never made a lot of money, and I would see them. My mom always bought supplies for her class, like any extra money she had was dumped into her class. They are amazing. I have lots of friends who are teachers. In fact, one of my clients, B. Charisse Moore, you should get her on here. Oh, she's amazing. She's in Philadelphia. I'm working on a middle grade field guide to African mythological creatures with her. It's going to be stupendous.
That's cool.
Oh my God, you guys. It's going to be one of those books that you buy for every kid you know, and then they keep it and they give it to their kids. It's one of the, ooh, I give me shivers. It's going to be one of those kind of books. But she's a teacher too. And she said some of the kids, they'll just have their sound muted and just their photo. So you don't even know if they're there. And then they might not even turn in any homework until the first parent teacher conference, when the parents for the first time learn that their kid hasn't turned in any homework and probably hasn't even been there. It's just been playing, video games. It's
You learn something
horrible,
about people when everything is virtual like this. There are the people who still handle their responsibilities without being hounded, and there are those that, you're not babysitting them anymore, so they're just slacking.
Yeah, and I do
Definitely.
say that I love teachers for that, and I, even as a sign language teacher, I used to like get a whole bunch of stuff for kids at the beginning of the year anyway, just in case you didn't have it. I wanted them to have it, and I think people don't really think about that, as you brought up with teachers. Like, they don't get paid a lot, and yet they're still like, oh, Timmy doesn't have crayons. I bought some crayons for Timmy, and all that other
Right.
stuff.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Their pay is just horrible. Because I got like a PhD, and that's around 64,000 a year in our state.
Yeah,
With a teacher.
Oh,
well, it used to be. I don't know
with
what
that
it
much
is now.
education.
That's ridiculous. But
Laurie, you kind of helped me segue into one of my questions for you, and that's that you have championed diversity and inclusion in publishing for years. So I want to know, what are your thoughts on the current wave of support?
It's really interesting because I've been doing agenting for 16 years. And when I got into it, first of all, I'm outside New York. I'm in San Francisco. So I'd go to New York like the new kid, yay, little bunny jumping around, right? And all the other agents are looking at me like, get out of here. Seriously, I'd be at a party after Book Expo or something, and I'd go up and start talking to people, and you know how they're like looking around you, like, who else should I be talking to? Not really listening to what you were saying. And I had already had this mega successful career for 20 years. And I'm like, wow, you don't even want to hear what I have to say? Oh, okay, fine, whatever. And at writers' conferences, New York agents would just have this kind of attitude about, don't bug me, talk to the hand, whatever, and I went there and I'm like, wow, I think agents should try and help writers, because we're the first person usually that they meet that represents the business of publishing rather than the creation of art. And that jarring brick wall can be really damaging. And I love creative people. I'm married to a musician, so like, I get how hard it is. And so I'd go to conferences and I'd introduce myself, and I say, hey, if I'm sitting around in the lobby, come and talk to me. You don't have to pitch me your stuff. Just talk to me about what you're writing or problems you're having, or ask me about agenting, or, whatever I can do to help. And so I would do that. And all the other agents would do their obligations, then go up to their hotel room and sit there till, work on their laptop or whatever, till the next obligation was they had to come down. So I just felt that was really wrong. And I decided I was going to become the anti-agent, and I was going to do everything the opposite. I was going to have no attitude. I was going to be totally welcoming and friendly and all of that. And, that served me really well. But what I saw too was just a sea of white faces everywhere, you guys. Well, so, for 15 years, and I'm like, where's everybody else? Why are they not coming to these conferences? Some are expensive, but some aren't. I don't get it. Well, it's because you were shunned, you were not invited, whatever. So I, actively looked, and I should say that my partner is this too. So I was with Larson Pomada for 8 years, and I was basically just learning the ropes. But then when self-publishing happened in 2008, and Kindle and Smashwords and KDP and all that happened, and social media, my high-tech antenna went up again. And I'm like, oh my God, I have seen this happen so many times before, where industries get transformed by technology. And I knew publishing was going to get transformed. And what was going to happen is it was going to become more affordable for writers. So writers could self-publish, or writers could do social media and market themselves. Because think about it, prior to 2008, it was, if you were nonfiction, you could pay $3,000 a month or $5,000 for a PR firm to get you drive time interviews on the radio, or you could buy a billboard, or if you were really, bestseller, then of course they get you other things, speeches and, talk show interviews and things like that. But other than that, if you weren't a bestseller, there was no way to get there, but now there was. So I was really excited about that because, I mean, seriously, I believe in, well, I don't know if I believe in, I don't believe in anything spiritually, but if I did, it would probably be reincarnation. And I'm like, man, I'm coming back as like a fire ant or a banana slug or something really heinous because of rejecting all these really good writers who just maybe weren't commercial enough or weren't exactly up to that spot where they needed to be yet. So I was really happy with self-publishing coming out. The only thing I see wrong with self-publishing is that people jump the gun a little too early because you don't know what you don't know. So now you got a book out there that maybe didn't sell, and that might hurt your chances with a traditional publisher. But if you can, good writing always outs. And to me, it's like, just keep writing, because you're going to get better and better and better with each book. You're going to learn more about publishing. And then at some point, it's all going to come together if you even want to do a traditional deal. I mean, I specialize in hybrid authors, and I've done hybrid, meaning self-publishing and traditional publishing at the same time. And some of my authors make a lot more money on their self-published works than they do on the traditional works that I do, because they have more control over it. They can do sales, they can change the cover, they can record an audiobook, they can do all these things. Whereas with traditional publishing, I might get the deal and the publisher might decide, we don't think this is a big enough market, we're not going to do an audiobook, or we're not going to do the paperback. The hardcover didn't sell enough, and the sales department might not understand it. So they don't put a big push to bookstores and libraries and all of that. I'm getting way too much into the business of publishing. Sorry.
We love it.
This is why you're here. You're an expert on it.
I really wanted to ask you that. That was going to be my next question about, because you said literary agents are the first touchdown for the business side. And I find a lot of times you talk to authors and you hear what they're doing and you're like, ooh, business wise, that's not the trend right now. And they're like, what do you mean? And it's like, because creative actually is going to run smack long head, just boom, into the brick wall.
Yeah. Right.
And knowing what to do and what you're looking for and what sells and what's not saleable and why you can't have this and why you should have that. So I love that you're talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, during this pandemic, we did 2 of our book covers. We seriously did. And it got better sales on it because it was self-published. So that's the thing.
You can do a Bookbub sale, you can do, you can go and talk at a library and sell your copies of your books there. Well, not now, but you could. Or a bookstore, or what, have one of my clients, this is such a cool idea, you guys can steal it. There's an organization, I'll find it and email it to you, and you can share it with your writer podcast listeners, but she found this organization that you go to a hotel, you stay at the hotel. So that's pretty nice. And then you bring enough books with you to put a book in every room. And then there's an invitation on top of the book, and it says, come to have wine and cheese with whatever the author's name is in the, lobby or in the restaurant or whatever it is. It wasn't all like Four Seasons hotels. They were, more the, well, not even the Hyatt, a little bit below that, maybe the Holiday Inn. And, come down and talk to the author or whatever. And then you had the chance to buy the book if you wanted to. If not, you left it in your room. So if they took the book with them and didn't pay, it would just get charged on their bill and the hotel would pay them. She sold out. She wrote, it was a crime, not a true crime, but a police procedural mystery. And she sold out to every hotel she did. Plus she got to stay in any place she wanted. That was part of the whole gig. And she made enough money to do all that. Plus her sales were just really high.
What's in it for the hotel?
They get, people are excited and talk about it on social media and
So the
it's just
publicity
something.
of it.
Yes, yeah.
You won't believe.
So I just thought that was so cool.
Yeah, that is a really cool idea. And
So
that's,
yeah, we're stealing that.
yeah, we are still.
Yeah.
Good.
Actually, how we sold actually a lot of poetry books, y'all. It was literally in hotel bars because we did do a
We were
bunch of
on tour about 26 weeks out of the year. Continue.
right. And so we were in a lot
Seriously?
of different places. And since we do happy hour, bars. So we were in bars
Happy hour.
and we were just talking, but literally we would sit there because one of those meeting places where people meet are bars and libraries and coffee houses. And for a writer, that gives you a bunch of ideas. When you have a bunch of people sitting together and you get to like observe them, that's a lot of ideas. And literally that's why we did it. But we used to sell like a lot of books there because you're there, people have their guard down, we're talking, we're just having a good time. And people are like, you said you write what now? They're like poetry. You seem like poetry gonna be cool though. So yeah, I'll buy the book. And you're like,
Yeah.
that wasn't okay, but sure.
And think about it, you're on vacation or you're on business trip or whatever, you're going to get on an airplane or something else. Like, yeah, okay, I'll take that book. And then all these people would write Amazon reviews because she'd say, now remember, write Amazon reviews. And they would. I don't know. People in hotels, are they more
that's brilliant.
susceptible to hypnosis or something? I don't know. But it was just so weird. But it worked.
I think they have like their
So
guard down and they're like in a place where they are they're not home. So you're like, oh, I'm in this other place. I'll probably, my kids are screaming my head like at night. Maybe I'll get to read 2 hours of a book because I haven't done that in 10 years,
And I think the wine may have had something to do with it too.
Oh, the wine that'll get you every time.
Every time.
All right, so I guess we have like one more, two more, because Tanya, I know you have a question. I know Winona has a question. Okay. Tanya?
Uh-oh, she froze. Oh no, there she is.
I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry, I just couldn't hear them anymore. So I wasn't sure if they were done talking.
Yeah, I said yes. I said, like, I know we have time for like 2 more questions. I know you have a question.
Okay, so I'll give you 2 really quick questions. One is define literary noir. And the other is so hard to choose. What are your predictions for 2021 publishing in terms of audio?
Ooh, I should have gotten something.
And
I write it. I'll answer the second one first really fast. Go to ANNERALLEN.com in January. I will have every January, I do go to this blog and I do my whole predictions, but I have a prediction that it'll take 6 months, but eventually we're all going to either be vaccinated or we're going to get on top of this pandemic, and we'll need to turn the economy around because restaurants and bars and nightclubs and bookstores and clothing stores and everything are dying out there. So there's only so much that Christmas can hold us over as far as buying from the little shops around us instead of the big stores. And so I think by the middle of next year, you'll start to see writers' conferences and other events coming back. You will see people going around and doing things together. Bookstores will open up again for everyone, and they'll start to have events because they haven't had any events for 8 months. So there'll be some kind of normalcy, return to normalcy. The other thing I think is what's been selling has been political nonfiction, obviously, and women's fiction, which is a little more, it's an escape, but it's a little bit more, I guess, accessible to a broader audience or something. I don't know. I'm just telling you, that's what editors have been buying for like the past 4 months. So I think you'll see that start to fragment out into other things that they're buying. Because when they're not buying teen books or they're not buying mysteries or romance, then all of a sudden people are going to be wanting more, and they will hear from the bookstores, hey, you know, my buyers are saying they want more of these types of books. So I think you're going to see a fragmenting, and good for us because I read genre fiction and it's like I haven't been able to sell a book in 3 months. You know, it would be nice if they would start buying those again.
What's that website again?
Okay, it's ANNERALLEN.com. Com. I mean, you can go on it now. She does every Sunday. She puts a blog post out there, she and her partner, Ruth Harris. And it's always about publishing. And a lot of it's about self-publishing, tips, tricks, all things like that. It's a really great blog. And Anne is a really smart lady. So it's very funny. It's very accessible. But every January I do the prognostications and predictions. So look at that. I have my whole thing full screen, or else I'd go and look at that document. I'm compiling all the stuff now. So those are the two I could think of off the top of my head. And really, they're changing because of the vaccine. But literary noir, I don't really even know what that is, Tanya. I would say that it's like, is that like Gone Girl, or
I got it from your wish list. I got the phrase from your manuscript wish list.
Okay, got it. Okay, so that in that context, literary noir, because it would be mystery, thrillers, and suspense. So I like all a Raymond Chandler type environment. So urban, gritty, dark, but brought forward to today. So it doesn't have to be urban, but it could be anywhere.
But have that feel to it.
That feel to it. It's nighttime. It's got alcohol. It's got some heinous crime that somebody's trying to solve, usually police and FBI agents, something like that. And it's written in a more upscale fashion. So it's not your genre crime buster type novel. It's much more elevated language.
Okay.
That's what it is.
I was just curious what you meant by it, and then you're like, I don't know what that is, but it's your phrase.
And I'm like, dang, I gotta update my manuscript wish list. Thanks for bringing that up.
So I'm here.
Laura, first of all, I wanted to say I didn't know what I wrote had a name. That's nice to know. Apparently it's literary noir. And the
cool.
is actually what do you look for in a query letter, because everyone who's watching this is going to
want to know. They're gonna be like, but why did you say that?
And then the second question, how does a writer apply to get the San Francisco Writers Conference?
They're gonna want to know that.
Okay. Perfect. So the first one is what's in a good query letter. Just today on Twitter, I gave a whole bunch of advice about this. And it like a month or two ago, and the person finally wrote the blog post. So if people follow me on Twitter, it's @Agent Savant. There's a whole story behind that, but I won't tell you. AGENT, S as in Sam, A, V as in Victor, ANT.com. Agent Savant. @Agent Savant. So go on Twitter, look at my tweets today, and there'll be a link to this. So You Think You Can Write, I think is the name of the blog. And in it, the woman interviews me and another agent, and we talk about how to write a good query letter. Otherwise, the other thing I can do, I don't know if you do this for your audience, but I have a presentation on that. I could give you the presentation or a handout or whatever if you want to make it available on your website or whatever you want to do with it. And if you don't want to do with it, just edit that offer out of your tape.
Absolutely.
Okay, because it's too hard to go through all the things, but there are definitely, like the top 10 that people do wrong when they're new to this and don't understand that maybe their writing at this stage is not.
Maybe it would be easier for you to answer what triggers an automatic no.
After 16 years, Tanya, I have become so nice about all this. So there's no automatic no's for me. Some people say, like, you said Mr. Laurie McLean, reject. Oh, you spelled Laurie, Lori, reject. I don't do any of that. I figure this is such an artificial form. I really care about the writing. So I look at it to make sure it's something that I handle. If somebody's giving me memoir, I don't handle it. So I just go, I don't handle this, boink, reject. So, but other agents will, reject you for even little things, doing a typo in your query or something, but
right.
I'm not that. And then the other question was about how do you register for the San Francisco Writers Conference? Well, we decided it's our 18th year. We decided to take a gap year rather than try and do the conference virtually because it's just too huge. So we'll be back February 2022. People should go to sfwriters.org, and that website has all the information. We will do another virtual SF Writing for Change worldwide that is sfwritingforchangeworldwide.org. And we'll do that conference in September. And yeah, if you guys want to come for free, send me an email and I will make sure you're on the invitation list. My idea is let's get it
I'm
out
taking you
there.
up on that. I don't turn away free
Good.
education.
Excellent. What we do is we do 5 evening.
It's online.
Oh.
I know. We wish you were like, well, I mean, you know, I think we all just want to get out the house in 2020. Like, can we please go
Yeah,
more than
I
like
know.
40 miles away from our home? Can we just please?
Seriously. I hope so. I think 2022 for the San Francisco Writers Conference is going to be a madhouse because everybody's going to have this pent up, you know, I want to go to it. So that'll be fine. But Writing for Change, I really want it to be worldwide. We do 5 nights of conversations between activist authors in all different, we did one on homelessness, we did one on BLM, we did one on women's rights, you know, things like that. We did one on Hispanic voice, you know, because of the
American
Dirt. Yeah. And they were fantastic. They're all free. They're on crowdcast.io. And just search for Writing for Change or search for San Francisco Writers Conference. There were 5 of those. They'll always be free. And then we do a craft conference on the craft of writing over the weekend, and that we charge for. But it's like $149. So it's actually, because it's on Zoom, it's a lot cheaper because we don't have to pay the hotel. San Francisco Writers Conference is expensive because we have to pay the Hyatt Regency Embarcadero, you know, right on the waterfront, and really like 75% of what we bring in goes to the hotel. It's really a racket, but they're hurting too massively. Well, it is, isn't it? You put on a huge conference and all of it goes to the hotel.
So we do the Las Vegas Writers Conference, and the tickets went from $4.99 doing it at the hotel, where we include the meals and, you know, and that doesn't include the hotel stay for the people, but it's for us to use the facilities. But we do include the lunches and the dinners. $4.99. We transitioned to online this year, and it was $149.
Yep, exactly.
And we had some left over to pay the faculty.
Wow.
Which is not ordinarily the case. It was like, oh, we actually made a profit. Well, we're going to give that to the people who made it so successful. You know, the people who turned around in 2 weeks and were like, okay, I'll do it online.
Yep. Oh my God. What a thing. Well, then you, sister, you know what I'm talking about.
I absolutely know.
Oh, mackerel. They really rip you apart. It's a lot of work, but it's a high when you're there, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, as much as I appreciate that we were able to do it online, it's not the same thing as networking in person and getting to sit and have meals with people. We try to do the best that we can with the interactions, but I just don't think that anything can replicate that in full, of just being able to sit there and, you know, what'd you learn in your class today? And sit there and talk about your family or your pets or just the stuff you like to read. It's not the same.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
And with that being said,
Final question.
Can you please give us the website again, the crowdfunding one? Not the crowdfunding one.
Crowdcast.
Crowdcast.
The website to your literary agent. And if you have an agency and if you have a website just about you, we'd love to just read about you.
Okay. So to get information about, or to listen to the 5 inspiration conversations, actually 4 of them, because one of them, the recording was so bad. One of the speakers was so soft, no matter how much we bumped it up, we couldn't hear her. So there's only 4 of them that were recorded successfully, but that is Crowdcast, CROWDCAST.io. That's the only weird thing. It's not .com, it's .io. I love this platform. It's like Zoom with if you ever shoot, you know, for your conference, Tanya, they also do a lot of, like, we got free for a year from them because we were doing Writing for Change and we had scholarships for diverse voices and things like that. So you might check into that because it's got the stage and audience metaphor that I think is a lot better than Zoom. Zoom, you know, when you see all the people and everything else, it's really hard to oh, you didn't mute your microphone, and there's all this like back and forth and messing around and stuff for a while. So I recommend it. But anyway, Crowdcast.io is that. For Fuse Literary, it's pretty straightforward, FUSE literary.com. And that's our agency website. And we have a news page on there. We've got news like every 2 or 3 days. And it tells you everything you need to know about our agency. And then the Writers Conference is sfwriters, plural.org. It's a nonprofit, so in all the senses of the word, meaning we do not make a profit. But yeah, so sfwriters.org, there's a blog post every other Friday, and it alternates with a podcast every other Friday where we interview writers and publicists and all this. So it's archived for the past 2 years that we've been doing it. So it's a good resource for people. They can just spin through the different topics and just listen to the ones that they want. And I think that's it about me. Did you ask something else, Winona?
No, that's it. Thank you so much. And thank you for taking out time to come on the show. We
still can't believe you can't.
Yeah, I know, right? And we really appreciate it. Tanya, where can people find out more about you?
I'm on social media at Ms. Tanya Todd. My website is www.mstanyatodd.com. I should also mention, since we do have Laurie McLean here, we had one of her authors last month at Henderson Writers Group's Dime Grinds. It was Paris Winters, and she was really wonderful. People loved her. We will have Sanithia Williams in December. And then again, Tricia Skinner is doing an Ask Agent in February. So pay attention to Henderson Writers Group for information on that.
Oh, that is
wonderful.
Tanya, high five on getting that in there. I like it very much.
Yes.
Way to do that. Love it. All right. So
Jade, would you like to wrap us up? But you need
Absolutely.
to speak before.
No, I don't.
Really?
So first, I'm going to say that we have the Ladies Tale podcast. In just case everyone didn't know, we do have a new Ladies Tale podcast. Put your hand. I am doing this. Thank you, Winona. I appreciate it.
I don't.
Okay, and we have a couple of episodes where you can see that the script, the managers, gets read, and we should have a third one very, very soon.
It's the last one.
It's not. You know how we always say, y'all, it's gonna be the last one, and then you know what happens? 4 months later, we're like, "And we were joking, because here's something else." So probably what's gonna happen with this too. But also we have a lot of other episodes on there, and we get to talk to managers and some kind of famous London celebrities and all this fun stuff. So you check out that podcast. You can find out everything you ladies are doing on www.andwethought.com. Always look at the homepage to see what's new and happening in the ladies' world. So you can do that, but more importantly than all of that, when you get a chance, go to the ladies tab, go down to the middle and see the charities that we probably support. Maybe you could support them too, maybe not monetarily because, 2020, money is funny. Maybe you could just support them with volunteering. And if you can't do that, that's okay too. Just add them on social media or send them an email and thank them for doing this wonderful work in the world, because we all use a little encouragement. Even Winona, although I don't know, sometimes I think not.
All right. I have to keep my narcissism going.
All right, so just remember, y'all, that wisdom is all around you if
you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love, you guys, from Winona
and Jade. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, thanks for listening.